Money is not just paper with numbers on it. A modern banknote is one of the most technologically complex, mass-produced products ever created by humankind. In terms of security, precision, and engineering complexity, it is comparable to military electronics. Yet it must remain inexpensive, wear-resistant, and instantly recognizable to millions of people. Every day we hold it in our hands without thinking that behind this thin strip of paper stands an entire industry hidden from view. Engineers, chemists, designers, security specialists, automation experts, and cryptographers work together to create an object that is impossible to copy, yet easy to verify. This film is a rare opportunity to look behind closed doors. We will trace the journey of a single banknote from raw material to the moment it ends up in a wallet. We will see factories that resemble fortresses, machines operating with micron-level precision, and security systems where mistakes are unacceptable. Why does the banknote remain relevant in the digital age? Because cash does not depend on electricity, servers, or networks. It works always. And that is precisely why its protection must be absolute. Every line on a banknote is a barrier. Every layer is a trap for counterfeiters. Every stage of production is a secret. And it all begins not with a printing press, but with cotton. Any banknote begins long before it reaches the printing press. Its story starts in the fields, where cotton of a special quality is grown. This is not the cotton used to make clothing or textiles. Banknotes require long fiber cotton, distinguished by exceptional strength, purity, and uniformity of structure. The raw material is selected according to dozens of parameters: fiber length, impurity content, moisture level, and chemical composition. Any deviation can affect the durability of the future banknote. The cotton undergoes multi-stage purification, during which organic residues, dust, and microparticles invisible to the human eye are removed. But cotton is only the foundation. Even at this stage, chemistry enters the process. Special binding agents are added to the fibers to increase wear resistance. The formula of these additives is classified. It determines how the paper will respond to moisture, heat, friction, and time. At this same stage, future security is embedded. Colored or fluorescent security fibers may be added to the pulp, chaotically distributed threads that are impossible to reproduce with precision. Their arrangement never repeats, making each banknote unique already at the material level. The production of raw materials for banknotes allows no compromises. Every batch is documented, tracked, and tested. Access to information is strictly limited, and suppliers undergo certification comparable to that of the defense industry. There are still no images, denominations, or numbers here, but there is already something that cannot be counterfeited, because money begins to protect itself long before any image appears on it. Banknote paper is not just a sheet. It is an engineered structure designed from the ground up for a specific purpose, to survive millions of hands and remain authentic. The process of creating it takes place at specialized factories that outwardly resemble closed scientific complexes more than industrial plants. Access is restricted, and each area is divided by security clearance levels. Even employees see only the part of the process for which they are responsible. The cotton pulp is fed into massive vats, where it is transformed into a uniform suspension. Temperature, mixing speed, and chemical balance are automatically controlled. Any change in parameters is recorded by the system and can stop the entire line. At this stage, key security elements are embedded into the paper. Watermarks are formed not afterward, but directly during the paper forming process. Special molds create areas of varying density, making the image visible when held up to the light. This is not printing. It is the structure of the paper itself. In parallel, a multi-layer substrate is formed. Some layers provide strength, others define tactile feel, and others ensure compatibility with printing inks. All of this is done with micron-level precision. Security threads may be embedded into the paper, metallic, polymer, or hybrid. They can surface, remain hidden inside, or change their position according to a predetermined algorithm. Their behavior in light, under ultraviolet radiation, and when tilted is calculated in advance. When the sheet is formed, it is not yet banknote paper in the full sense. It must undergo drying, stabilization, and a series of tests: tensile strength, bending, abrasion, and exposure to water and chemicals. Only after this does the paper receive clearance for the next stage. Printing on unsuitable paper is meaningless. Because real money begins with a material that cannot be replicated, the watermark is one of the oldest and, at the same time, one of the most complex security features of banknotes. It cannot be applied on top of finished paper. It is born together with it. The process of creating a watermark begins long before printing. Engineers and designers develop an image that must be recognizable, yet extremely complex in structure. It is not just a portrait or a symbol. It is gradations of density, subtle transitions of light and shadow, calculated with micron-level precision. During the formation of the paper web, a special cylinder is used, a forming element with a relief pattern. It alters the distribution of fibers in specific areas. In some places, the paper becomes denser, in others, thinner. As a result, an image appears that is visible only when held up to the light. Modern watermarks are multi-layered. They incorporate smooth transitions, micro-details, and additional elements that appear under different lighting angles. Some parts of a watermark may be integrated with a security thread or other components of the paper. Quality control at this stage is especially strict. The slightest shift or density irregularity renders the watermark unusable. Cameras compare every sheet against a reference standard, detecting deviations invisible to the human eye. Counterfeiting a watermark is one of the most difficult challenges for forgers. Imitation by printing or laser methods is easily detected upon the first inspection. A genuine watermark lives inside the paper, not on its surface. It is an element that cannot be drawn in. It either exists or it does not. And that is why the watermark remains one of the primary symbols of monetary authenticity. When the paper with embedded security elements is ready, it is transferred to the printing hall. Here, the visual life of the future dollar banknote begins. This space resembles a sterile industrial facility more than a traditional printing house. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed here. Every entry requires inspection, biometric verification, and escort. Offset printing is the first stage of image application on the dollar banknote. This is where the primary backgrounds, color transitions, fine lines, and complex ornaments appear. Printing is carried out on large sheets, each containing dozens of future dollar banknotes at the same time. The printing machines occupy entire halls. Their precision is measured in microns. The slightest shift in color or form renders a sheet unusable. Cameras and sensors compare the result to the reference in real time. If the system detects a deviation, the line is stopped. The inks are supplied automatically from secured containers. Their consumption is strictly accounted for. Any discrepancy is flagged by the security service. Even printing waste is collected and destroyed under supervision. Offset printing creates visual complexity that is difficult to replicate by digital means. Gradients, subtle transitions, and multi-layered backgrounds fall apart when copied, immediately revealing a counterfeit. Around the perimeter of the hall, security. Cameras, access-controlled zones, and a ban on any personal items. Workers undergo checks before each shift. There are no random people here. After offset printing, the dollar banknote still appears flat. But this is only the beginning. Intaglio is the heart of printing. It is this stage that gives the dollar banknote its recognizable tactile feel. What a person can sense with their fingers cannot be reproduced by copying or scanning. Unlike offset printing, Intaglio uses a form of deep engraving. The image is etched into metal plates. Ink fills the grooves and is then transferred onto the paper under immense pressure. The pressure is so great that the surface of the dollar banknote is literally deformed, creating a raised relief. Intaglio machines are among the most powerful and expensive in production. They operate slowly but with absolute precision. Every press is a controlled process. Temperature, pressure, and ink viscosity. Everything is recorded automatically. The relief is used not only for tactile effect, it creates optical shadows that change when the note is tilted. This is another barrier against counterfeiting. Any attempt to imitate the relief leads to instant detection. Access to the intaglio plates is strictly limited. They are stored in safes, moved only under guard, and accounted for individually. Loss or damage of a plate is considered a serious incident. The intaglio hall is a high-security zone. Only employees with the highest clearance work here. Cameras never turn off, not for a second. After this stage, the dollar banknote acquires character. It can already be recognized with closed eyes. The final stage of printing is letterpress. It is used to apply specific elements, serial number areas, security details, and additional markings. Here, precision is more important than speed. Letterpress adds the last layer of information to the dollar banknote. This can include fine lines, special symbols, or elements designed for machine reading. The pressure is less than an intaglio, but the alignment requirements are extreme. The final stage of printing is letterpress. It is used to apply specific elements, serial number areas, security details, and additional markings. Here, precision is more important than speed. Letterpress adds the last layer of information to the dollar banknote. This can include fine lines, special symbols, or elements designed for machine reading. The pressure is less than an intaglio, but the alignment requirements are extreme. Employees are not allowed to take anything out. No trimmings, no rejects, no personal items. At the end of the shift, everything related to the dollar banknote either continues along the production line or is destroyed. The production of money is impossible without absolute control. The factory where the dollar banknote is created is a facility with a multi-level security system, comparable to military enterprises. All personnel are divided by clearance levels. An offset printing worker has no access to the intaglio section. A packaging specialist will never see the printing stage. Even engineers know only their own area. No one sees the full picture. Every entry point requires biometrics, access cards, and a time log. Before the start of a shift, employees undergo inspection. Personal items are prohibited. Pockets, shoes, clothing, everything is checked. Cameras record every step. Movement within the factory is strictly regulated. Routes are predefined. Any deviation is automatically recorded by the security system. A protocol violation triggers an immediate investigation. Working with dollar banknotes is not just a profession, it is a constant responsibility, where trust must be proven every single day. Before being released into the financial system, the dollar banknotes are stored in secure vaults. These consist of concrete, steel, motion sensors, and climate control. Temperature and humidity are strictly regulated. The paper must not deform. Access is allowed only through multi-factor authentication. Each vault is an autonomous zone. Even within the factory, they are isolated from each other. Here, the dollar banknote is not just a means of payment, but a strategic asset. The transfer of dollar banknotes is a strictly regulated operation. Armored vehicles, armed escorts, and pre-approved routes are used. Containers are sealed. Any tampering is recorded. Responsibility for the cargo passes from the manufacturer to the central bank through documents and digital protocols. From this moment, the dollar banknote officially becomes part of the country's monetary system. In circulation, the dollar banknote lives its most active life. It passes through the hands of people, cash registers, ATMs, and vaults. Over time, the paper wears, but the security features continue to function. It is at this stage that the quality of production truly shows.